further ado, Dan Toscano for the record, attorney at law, office located at 15 Broad Street, Suite 610. I represent Charlie King, his white collar, could not be here tonight, who's home with the children. And the architect of this project over at 5 Jackson Ave is NEWNC, who's done the plans, and we'll go through the plans. The plans have been modified slightly from what I gave you, and they've been modified as part of meeting with the butters meeting and the CLC. Just made so really just in the height of the building, it's really come down about 8 inches. So we'll go over. So,
do you have copies of that?
I do not have PDF because we're just done really today. I don't have PDF. I'll get them copied to you, but we will go into the board and you'll have them tomorrow, the PDF file. So just to tell you a little bit what we're trying to do here, Charlie and his wife, 14-year residents of the neighborhood. They currently own their home on Commercial Street. You know, they have 2 young children. Young children both go to the Elliott School, participate here in our Mazzaro Center, participate in all our activities here in the neighborhood. Over the last several years, Charlie and his wife have been looking for a bigger place. Right now they're living in a condominium. There's a young growing family. They want to stay here. They want to make them up in their life, and they want to stay here for the remainder of their life, and the children have them brought up here in the neighborhood. So after a 3-year search, Charlie and his wife Carla were lucky enough to purchase 5 Jackson Ave. Currently, it's a 2-family residential dwelling. What Charlie wants to do is change the occupancy from the 2-family residential dwelling to a single-family residential dwelling. And also, which is the biggest thing, we want to create as an existing head house. We want to add a story, take down the head house, add 1 story, really adding approximately 348 square feet with a front deck. So that is really going to be, the addition is really going to be what's we're going to be talking about a lot today. I'll show you a little bit. So some of the violations that we're going to encounter with the ZBA is the roof structure, because we're changing the roof structure by doing a 1-story addition. We have a rear yard setback, which is very common here in the neighborhood. However, in this area, it's a multi-family residential sub-district. You have to have 12 feet to the next property line. We're really at about 11.6, so it's only a few inches that we're off, but it does create a violation. And then FAR is a violation. The current FAR in this neighborhood, as everybody knows, and we hear it all the time, it's a 3 ratio. The current property is at 3.4. With the addition of the 348 square feet, we're going to go to 3.8. That's correct. So the first photo I'm going to show you, and I'm going to just kind of pass it around. This kind of gives you a little perspective of what, where we are, and so you can see it. So if you're looking at it, where you look at the roof where it has a little green on it, that's the existing roof of 5 Jackson Ave. And why I'm showing you that picture, because what we're going to do is we're going to hear some testimony from the abutter, which is really the main concern from 3 Jackson Ave. If you can see that addition, really if you're looking at that picture, maybe to the right, you can see that 425 square foot addition that was put on back in, I think, the late 90s, and it was ultimately permitted in 2001. Has approximately those windows that it's going to be affect. So the square footage of the entire property is probably around 2,700 square feet. And like I said, it's going to be a single family, approximately 4 to 5 bedroom. The upstairs, we labeled it a bedroom, but really it could be a bedroom, multiple use, could be a family room. But Charlie and his wife and his growing family right now, 2 children, and like I said, growing family. They have their family that comes from out of town, and what he's done in the past and why he's making this a single family, extra bedrooms. What has happened over the years, when his family comes to visit, he rents hotel rooms, they get other apartments, and this would just make it nicer where everybody can stay here in one unit. They are adding an elevator to the property, which will go right from the ground level up to the roof, but it won't extend any higher than what the new addition is. The current height of the building, or if you do the current height of the head house, it's 43 feet. Once we add the addition on, it'll be 46 feet high. So really going up 3 more feet than the current addition. Why don't I show you an existing? So this this is a good photo. This shows the existing head house and the windows that are probably going to be impacted. But here it shows you what it's going to look like here. Now the addition that we're putting here, taken in the plans were drawn in consideration of the addition at 3 Jackson Ave. What we did was set it back about it's not above, it's 16 feet 4 inches, set it back from Jackson Ave. So we set it back so it wouldn't affect the front balcony and some of the existing windows in the front. It's really a glass door in one of the windows, as you can see. So it's set back 16 feet 4 inches, and I think you'll be able to see that on the lower photo. And this is another photo on the way you can see it's set back. From the highest point of the beginning of the new head house, it's going to be 5 feet above 3 Jackson Ave roof line. But then it slopes down. Roof deck. From 3 Jackson Ave roof deck. But then it slopes down towards the back to the highest point will be 4.1. The original plan that you see here showed the head house about 8 feet 8 inches high, and then as it sloped down, it was down to 8 feet. We eliminate, after meeting with the abutter, and I think you'll hear from the abutter today, after meeting with the abutter and meeting with the ZLC of the North End Waterfront Residents Association, we've taken that height down 8 inches. And so the head house, it'll be 8 feet high at its highest point.
Yeah, so this is 8 feet less than
8 inches less than.
8 inches.
You're right, 8 inches less than that.
If you flip the back, which we have, sorry. So this is what we had before. If you can see the volume, this is 8 inches taller volume than what we have here.
Okay.
So his headroom is going to be 8 feet from its highest point to the minimum that's required as you slope down to the back, which would be 7
foot 4 inches.
7 foot 4. So that's the minimum height requirement, and there's just no way we could have loaded any more. And as you can see from the front, where it impacts one of those windows, it's probably a little above halfway that in window, but as it slopes down, it's probably half those windows are a little bit
So
below.
that space is an elevator. What else?
That would be an elevator, the stairs, and it's labeled as a bedroom. There's a full bathroom there, but it could be a living space. It just hasn't been determined exactly what it's going to be. But
What is in that corresponding space in 7?
oh, you mean a 3?
3, yeah.
From my understanding from the ZLC, and I'm sure Paul's here today, he'll talk about it, but it told us that's his office space. So that's his office. So, and that addition was, like I said, was put down there. And but we'll talk about the addition at some, you know, we don't need to talk about it now. But and so in a nutshell, I mean, that's it. Charlie's here with his wife. They're looking to want to stay here. We believe that we've done everything to address the abutters' concerns and make this as least impact as possible to those windows that were put in there. As we know, this is the neighborhood. I mean, anything you do is going to have a little bit of effect on it, abutting properties or anything, but, you know, it is going to have a little bit of effect, but, you know, we feel that this plan that we put together is, you know, after considering the roof, the addition on 3, this had the least amount of impact on that property. And like I said, that's why it's set back really 16 feet 4 inches and really the minimum height as on top. So I'm happy to answer any questions. Hopefully I made myself clear if that was really the issue.
Yeah, so this between the elevators, is there going to be sprinklers?
Oh, absolutely. So the building will be totally sprinkled and fire code, everything. Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about like construction management, how that's going to work on that little street?
Construction management, I mean, I'll let Charlie talk about it. I mean, he's the one dealing with his
Yeah,
contract.
so we engaged a contractor that actually works, that's worked with Diana before on 500 Commercial Street, and they're actually a construction manager, so there's.
That's the one on the end, right?
Yeah.
So that's your building control?
And we get a letter from the trustees that there's no opposition, but like I said, you know, the only one really affected by it is
So they're gonna have an on-site supervisor at all times, and he's not a person that swings a hammer. He actually is an on-site supervisor to make sure everything's working together, but his main concern is working with the neighbors. And that's why we chose a specific construction manager, because we knew 3 Jackson had 2 people working out of the home, and then right next door to us is 7. Actually, we go to school with the children also. My daughters go to school, so we wanted to make sure that the primary concern was safety, access, and that everybody fully knew what was going on the property. And hiring a full-time construction manager that also includes security, so that there wouldn't be any compromise going on at night. We're going to fully secure the building and make sure that the whole, as you know, Jackson Avenue is private ways both sides. So it's not like, it's not easily accessed, but we will have full security.
Any other questions?
If you're looking head on, not from the side view, they're looking head on from Jackson Ave or Cox Hill. That's really a 3D rendition of what it's going to look like.
So I'm going to add a few details as far as how we arrived to this addition and our consideration in terms of how we located the front wall and etc. So when we started this process, actually Charlie got engaged with all the neighbors and asked them about their concerns and whatnot, and understanding the Jackson space would be the most impacted space.
Yep.
So we opened dialogues with them, and their first comment was that the front deck, they have deck that basically runs the entire length of the building. There's a front deck portion, and there's a little kind of connector piece, if you will.
So you're showing it's not on the party line.
It's a setback,
Setback.
right? And because that's between about a 3 to 4 feet section of the walkway to the back deck, and then right along that connector piece are the 2 large condensers. So basically, that's what kind of separates our party wall to their party wall and the building.
And usually, I'm sorry, just so you understand, usually, we've seen a lot of projects where people do an addition to the front or back deck. This was done with really a deck that runs the length of the building, front to back, probably from 35 feet. And I can understand why the person, the current owner did, but prior owner did, put the addition, put the windows in, so overlook those roof decks and move down to the water. Maybe if that was built prior to getting permits and coming before the community at some point. They go before a permitting process, and it was permitted at 2001. But maybe if it was come before this community at that point, maybe there would have been some type of compromise at that point as to the number of windows that are there. To altogether, it's probably 11 windows, but it was done prior without pulling permits with ISD, and ultimately it got permitted at some point.
So,
but not this gentleman.
right. The owner was right. So basically, sort of starting from the prioritizing, making sure that their front deck has really no negative impact or our addition. We decided to pull the addition back 60 points from our roof line, and that would basically clear their deck right now from. Our proposal is not going to obstruct their front deck at all. But currently, this existing head house obviously, is taller than the existing deck on their front part. So it's basically we are improving the front deck condition significantly.
So if you see it now, once we pull it back, on this door in this first window.
And then what's the height relative to the top of the bubble?
I have that dimension in this section, sorry, I don't recall exactly. There's a deal. I'll get that here. So front part right now is 5 to 6 inches, 5 to 6 inches tall, and you can see that how a good portion of our head house is, encroached upon their front deck portion, which is kind of, defined by these 2 lampposts like this. But if you kind of draw the line, the new addition is going to be set back this way. So you can see that we are really making clear of their front deck portion. And we also lower the ceiling over the stair coming up so that that's not a tall volume either. So we really put a lot of effort in making this volume to be small. And the way the reason why this wall is 64 inches has to do with the way the staircase works and the elevator works inside. The current staircase inside the building, it has 3 winders both ways, so it's very dangerous, and they are completely non-compliant code-wise. They are 9 inches deep, I think, most of steps. So we are making the stairs a lot bigger, but by doing that, obviously staircase is going to take up more room from the existing structure. And Charlie's obviously parents and also somebody in his family needs access to the elevator to actually go through the buildings. That's the reason we are putting the elevator. Elevator is not really for the luxury item in this case. So that sets up the elevator on the back of the staircase. And then obviously we are getting into the existing light well that we share with Jackson Space. But we're just push it back so that we have a front section you enter and the stair starts. And then everything kind of is done in minimum way. In our stair is only 2 inches wide, for example. So in our minds, I mean, obviously, I totally understand why the Jackson folks are not happy about this addition going up. But as far as our concern goes, we have worked really hard to modify our design to create a totally unobstructed front section. And you can also see the difference between their view from the front deck versus the back, because the way the 500 commercial building kind of sets up the middle section before you actually enjoy the waterfront. I can also circulate the pictures we have.
What's the height of that building?
I mean,
Which one?
Well, it's lower, so it's on a slope.
so it's on all the buildings on a slope this way. So it basically kind of triggers in this
Yeah, we
fashion.
just put like my own.
What do you think, what's the height of that?
Yeah, I can show you this picture.
55.
So this is our roof on the back. So that green piece is a 500 commercial head house, where they have an elevator and the staircase up to the roof. So you can see the kind of a view you have to the back is this type of a thing, whereas the front is basically a building to set with, and then you exactly. And obviously setting the front wall back has a lot to do with showing the sensitivity toward the park we have, and it's for everybody else's enjoyment as well. And material for the addition obviously is going to be the copper, which is a lot more gentle material to the existing brick structure.
How many alterations would you say you've made since this began?
Well, up to Charlie, I mean, this,
According to our invoices, about 12 revisions.
12 revisions.
We have to go back and do constant measurements. And as you know, old buildings in the north end, there's different measurements. So we want to make sure that we try to depict as accurate as possible for all parties, not just ourselves.
Is that 12 revisions because of other concerns or just because of everything?
We started the conversations immediately after we closed, so that's when we started to figure out what it is that we can do. So initially there were half of the revisions started internally for us to make sure that we thought it was presentable. And then after that point, then we went 6 thereafter to start handing them over through conversations and see what some of the concerns are. And the most recent was after the ZLC subcommittee meeting and the abutters meetings. So we just scrambled, and I apologize. I forced these guys to make the changes within a 48-hour period, so that's why you don't have as much circulating. But they worked over the weekend to try to get this out to you to understand that we're really
so those changes affecting 8 inches to the minimum height.
Well, you brought it up, Maria. How did the abutters meeting go?
Yep, we had about 5 meetings last Monday, and so obviously working with this gentleman right here, and addressing concerns, and then they followed up after the abutters meeting. So they had initial conversations before the abutters meeting as well.
And the other people, I mean, do they have opinions on that?
Yeah, there was 2 other residents, the neighbors, about it, that were in support of them.
Okay.
Any other questions from the council?
So I mean, we always talk about, making improvements, when we do improvements, and making them family friendly, because we want to keep families here, because I know Charlie is active in the neighborhood too, so I'm curious to hear what anybody else has to say in the audience.
Can I add one more
By the way,
thing as
yeah.
far as the height goes? So what's not shown clearly here is that we are redoing the entire roof to actually sink the structure down. This is yet another effort to make this volume shorter than the taller. So the reason being is that the existing roof slopes significantly from the front cornice line all the way to the back, and then the existing deck literally is just a perp on the roof structure. There's no separate decking structure, etc. And it's what a lot of you guys know. These days, in order to meet the code, the deck structure has to be separated from the roof, and that would set the entire section to be much, much taller. So we are modifying the roof pitch and roof line by creating a deck and separate section for the roof below, so that we can make the volume much, shorter.
You have to recharge the runoff to it, is that part of this?
That's something that we started discussing, but we're not sure whether that's going to be completely done. We're talking about the tank and some other issues. Yeah, there's definitely hardship that comes with the water retention there. Yes.
We do have this.
Yeah.
I mean, at first glance, when I looked at this, I immediately thought it was similar to Quincy Court, which is going out and adding roof deck, what have you. But the key difference that I see here is family, it's not residence. And the roof deck was already existing.
Correct.
I'd be happy to hear from Paul to hear why.
So I guess, we know there's the butter here, so we'll just start with you. Your name and address.
My name is Paul Kostas. I'm
We
the,
would do 5 minutes.
okay. I think I'm right at about 5 minutes. I'm the owner at 5 Jackson. This is my partner Maggie. We're the abutters right next door. Thanks for the time. As they've said, they have worked with us. We've seen some of their plans, but unfortunately, we need to express pretty strenuous opposition to this plan. Our property would be severely and negatively impacted by the changes being considered for the roof. When we purchased our property, there were two large components that were a big deal to us purchasing the property. The first is, they mentioned briefly, there's a light well between our buildings, and that provides 8 windows into our entire building. These are row homes, which are often very dark, but in this case, we get a whole lot of light into our building because of these windows. As well, the top floor, which, as I mentioned, I use as a home office. I work from there just about every day, and it has pretty incredible views of Charlestown, East Boston, Chelsea, and the harbor. Those two factors would both be pretty negatively impacted by the proposal for the roof. Maggie just handed you a whole set of handouts. She's a designer, and after working with an attorney who's helping us on this, we mocked up some of what you're talking about, what you're hearing about. These photos are photos we took from our property on site, and then used the exact measurements from the proposal that they have in front of you. Obviously, they're not fancy architectural renderings, but these are true to the measurements. If I can walk you through the handout pretty quickly.
Do you guys
You are welcome to.
Are these the ones,
You've seen some of them, yes.
you've seen some of them?
The first several pages are the current views and light coming into our building. The top is from our deck. The next page is the bank of windows in the office that we use. There are 6 windows facing out and 2 glass doors. The next page is the view and the light coming into that office. And the next page is that light wall that I mentioned. It's useful to illustrate because it's a little tough to understand. There's basically a cutout in the building, and there are 8 windows into our property that go in there. That's the blue shaded area on page 4. On the next page is their proposed structure. This is actually a slightly taller, the 8-inch taller version, because they just have, they proposed this very minimally decreased height. So there's an addendum that shows the difference there. But basically, this is the structure. It's a very large structure right in front of our building. That's out the office window. And
This is towards the back of the building, though.
this is the side of our building facing the harbor. So Jackson Ave is here, we're 3, 5 is here, and this is looking that way.
So
So,
you're standing like in the middle of the building?
Yep.
Your building?
yeah, so our office basically faces out sideways.
Yeah.
And so that's exactly what this is. This is the structure that would be there if this were built. And perhaps most strikingly on page 7 is the light well. This is 1 floor down. Currently we have sky view and light coming in. We would be looking at a wall if this were built. They mentioned that they've made some revisions, made some compromises. I won't argue with that. We've had good dialogue with them, but these revisions are minimal at best. An 8-inch reduction in height is certainly appreciated, but it's still a massive structure right in front of our building. The 12 revisions that you mentioned, I don't know anything about that. We've seen one change as far as the initial plan that they showed us and a second plan which is 8 inches shorter, which is what they're presenting to you today. Again, we appreciate the conversations we've had, but ultimately this is not something we can support. It's something we really need to strenuously object to because this is an incredibly large structure right in front of our building. If you go to the next page, on page 8, we have suggested what we think is a more equitable compromise. Obviously, I won't lie, we prefer nothing more up on the roof. We would prefer that no changes were made up there. Diane talked about improving the front of the roof, but that small head house that's there is really not that much of an impediment to the view, to the light. The new structure that they're talking about being almost 3 feet taller than that is certainly much more problematic. The compromise that we're suggesting, on page 8 on the right side, you'll see this is from their floor plan, from their submission. And basically, we're hoping that they will basically have this building. So instead of being, I think it's about 19 feet long, it would be about 8 or 9 feet long. This would still allow the elevator to reach the roof. It would still allow the stairs to reach the roof. It would provide them with a sitting area up there, sunroom up there. It appears there'd even be space for half bath. Obviously, you would need to, if you were looking to do this, you'd need to look into it. But for us, it would greatly reduce the impact on the views from the office and the light coming into that office. It would prevent the loss of light and views from the 3rd floor, which looks out at the sky right now. And it would reduce the loss of light entering the light well in all 8 windows. We have some renderings of that as well on the next pages that basically you can see it's not a small structure even with this compromise, but it's something that we could live with and even support. Again, most importantly, taking up only a little bit of the light well, but as well taking up far less of this view. I'm almost done. I don't know if I'm at 5 minutes, but the current proposal, 30 seconds. The current proposal seems like a pretty excessive grab. The building is already over the FAR. They're looking to be further over the FAR. They're looking to go from 3 bedrooms to 5 bedrooms and 2.5 baths to 4.5 baths, all while going from a 2-family to a 1-family. This has an extremely negative impact on us, and really no hardship has been demonstrated. We think this roof addition is pretty much a bridge too far, or a structure too far, if you will. Their desired expansion is extremely large and has a negative impact on us. We're open to a more reasonable compromise, such as the one we suggested, but we're hoping that these variance requests will be turned down. Thank you for your time.
Any other butters? What's your name?
Joanna Daly. I live at 57 Charter Street. I have taken a detailed look at the plans. I was actually one of the abutters at the meeting, at the abutters meeting. I've also checked out the properties in person.
Where's 57?
57. So Jackson Ave, if you're on Charter Street, with Michelangelo on your left,
Yeah.
Jackson Ave on your right, I'm about half a block up.
Okay.
I've seen it. I understand your plight. I have a water view, so I do understand what you're getting at. But I think that the Kims have made a lot of consideration when they design these plans. The view isn't going away totally. Even if you look at the plans, they have a lot of that water view still left. There's still a lot of light. I get that same light from that same side.
Yeah.
As another addition, I also know the Kims personally. I've known them for years. They're great people. They're people you want to keep in this neighborhood. You don't want them to leave this neighborhood just because of over a building that they can't get approved. So.
Any other butters?
I mean, I'm 5 North Hudson Street, so I'm across from them, and I fully, Chad Wolfson, and I fully support the Kims in this. I mean, I think that I've been up on the roof, I've seen what they want to do, I've also seen their addition to the roof, and I think if the you know, if it was turned and the Kims had their roof deck up there and they wanted to build their addition, you know, there would probably be the same opposition back and forth. But I think that it's a reasonable roof addition. And I think that, you know, the Kims are the type of people we want to keep in this neighborhood. You know, they support a ton of stuff around the neighborhood. The Elliott School, the Old North Church. I mean, I think everybody can't say enough about them.
I'm Mike Pagola from 26 Charter Street. I'm also in support of the project. I went through a similar process last year when I came in front of you guys as well. We're doing the same type of thing, the exact same reasons, build an addition so that we can stay here as a family, and I think it's a really important thing to have people like Charlie and his family remain part of the neighborhood.
Yeah, I'm Jennifer McGivern, 53 Snow Hill Street. I do a review of 357 Jackson Ave from my house. You know, I know it's really hard. We're everyone in the North End, we build, you know, if you're trying to make a home for your family in a neighborhood that is traditionally small and cut up, I really support the Kims. They're a great family. I'm testifying for them through the Elliott School where, you know, they go above and beyond. They're great members of our school community and our neighbor community. And I think, you know, when we look at very needed, that this is the type of situation it applies to when you have a family who really wants to make a home here.
Any other rebuttals?
Questions. The last four people that spoke, they have letters? Are they people who live in the neighborhood?
They are people who live within 300 feet, so by the city's standard, that's anybody else want to speak out on this? Any other questions from the council? Should we make a motion to end the conversation and make a vote?
May I have 30 seconds to respond?
Sure.
Again, we've had great conversations with the Kims. They do seem like great people. But there's the letter of the law, and there's you know, an exception that you can make, and then there's an enormous exception that you can make. And going from 3 bedrooms to 5 bedrooms and 2.5 baths to 4.5 baths is excessive. I'd like them to remain in the neighborhood too, but I think they can do that with a smaller addition.
Well, you know, in the interest of transparency, do you know what the FAR for your building is?
I'm not aware, and we're not looking to make any addition on it.
How many stories is it?
1, 2, 3, 4. We're below 55 feet.
Closed. And I understand, and I think we all stand here and understand the objection.
I'm sorry, that's in 2
from Paul.
units.
And, you know, but his objection comes in, and it, like I said, it's not his fault. He bought the property with addition, talks about the addition being excessive and everything. This is less than what his addition is. His addition was built without coming before this neighborhood. His addition was built without pulling permit. His addition was built without going before ISD. Ultimately, it did go before ISD, and then it was ultimately approved, but it was already existing. So, and it was built by an owner who, yeah, took advantage of that view, and that's why we see the deck and the windows are along the side. And you don't normally see that in the neighborhood. Usually it's a front deck, front window, back deck, back windows. But this takes up the whole side of the building, 35 feet long, 6 windows, 2 glass doors, 3 windows in the front. If you look at the center of the property where you just can't see, we don't think we have a photo, there's no really deck in the front that overlooks Cobb's Hill and out the skating rink and the water there. It takes advantage of that. So the fact that this prior owner did this should prevent, now says I got here first and now we prevent anyone else who wants to do something. Now what we've done here, and I close, I know we're running late, what we've done, we didn't eliminate all his windows. By pushing it back 16 feet 4 inches, he's got tremendous views in open space from the front of his building, 16 feet back from that front doorway, that window. The height goes the top of all the windows as it slopes down, still maintains all that light, and our building doesn't go as far back as his building, so we still had, so our building ends probably 2 feet maybe, is it 2 feet? 2 feet 11 before, you know, so we still have 2 feet 11 feet, 2 feet 11 inches going further back from our building. So there's still a tremendous amount of light. Sunlight, it doesn't get, I don't think direct sunlight, I think it's shadow stuff is done, especially that light well. Charlie Lou's has some windows down there, doesn't get any direct sunlight, but it's a little piece of light. And we still got open views to his front deck and windows. So what we're trying to do, and what we try to do to reiterate what John Pregman said, what most of the people said, we see here a lot of families that came here, moved in the North End, expanded their properties because they want to keep their families here, grow their, invest in our neighborhoods. Young family, young kids, 6 and 4, go to the early school, they want to grow, they want to stay, and they want to live in a larger unit, and you can't blame them. It's not like the days when I grew up here. Mary Ann was here, 5, 6 people living in 600 square feet, and to us that was big. I mean, today's day and age, that's not so big. So we're hoping that this neighborhood council will support a neighborhood guy.
Okay, so if there's no other comments from the council, I'm going to ask for a motion to close the debate and to vote.
I make a motion, we close the debate and to vote, and vote on 5 Jackson Ave.
Second.
I'll second it.
Thanks, guys. You want to vote, pass it down?
Phil, also, just so,
I thought you just wanted the butters to speak at first. You never opened it up to everybody else.
I did, but.
I didn't hear you, I'm sorry. My name's Steve Sicily, I'm a lifelong resident of the North End. I just want to say that I'm in support of Charlie and his wife, Carla here. I've been with Charlie probably for the entire 14 years that he's lived here. You won't find a better person. When you talk about this community, it's gone through a lot of changes, many changes. And one of the biggest changes is about families and lack thereof. And we're starting to rebuild here. And having Charlie stay here with this family is something that I like to see more of. He's not here to use it as an investment property like a lot of folks are. That's not what this community should be about any longer. It should be more about families and bringing family back into the community. That's what this is about. And for that, I support Charlie.
Thank you, guys. So,
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Pass the votes this way.
Thank you.
So for 5 Jackson Avenue, to change the occupancy from 2-family residential to single-family residential dwelling and adding a 1-story addition and roof deck. That is unanimously supported. Those members are Ryan Kenny, John Pregman, Jessica Della Russo, Sean Hennessy, Gennaro Riccio, Maurice Mboli, and Devlin Tagliaferro, and Ralph Rowe.
All right, that concludes our main meeting.